Jumping on the line on Static on 2SER. It's great to have Alex G. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's good to talk to you, Alex, because we didn't get you here in Australia in person behind the last record because the world sort of stopped about 6 months after House of Sugar came out. So it's been a weird cycle for you the last few years, huh?
Yeah. I mean, the last couple of years we didn't do much, and I'm glad to finally be able to tour again. It's nice.
All those times you thought that you just wanted to sit at home and do nothing, and then when it was gifted to you, all you wanted to do was be out on the road, right?
Yeah, that sums it up.
Perversely, Alex, you actually got out of the house more during the pandemic, I heard, because in the creation of this Alex G record, God Save the Animals, you visited some more studios in the demo stage.
Yeah, it was a good excuse to get out of the house, I guess. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting there 24/7, you know.
And so what you did was sort of thumb through the phone book and find studios around Philly that weren't being used and go in and demo the record there?
Yeah, I guess there was 3 studios I knew of that either my friends ran or I was mutually friends with someone who worked there or something, and there's 3 of them. And yeah, I would go through, and if one was available this day, I'd go there, and if it wasn't available the next day, I'd call the next one, etc., etc.
And so demoing an album that way, is that an extravagance or a necessity? Is it good for you to, as you say, not be listening to the songs or listening to the demos constantly at home now?
The process was, I guess, kind of unique because I would go to the studio and track and then bring home all the tracks and mess with them on my computer. Like, I wasn't exactly demoing, I was more just tracking. At the studio, I would sort of chaotically get a bunch of different takes of different things I could possibly want, and then I would bring all that home and chop and edit and build the song with all the takes I got either that day or the previous day.
And so did that sort of help you to picture the songs in different settings and sounds? I'm wondering if maybe you can get used to the sound of what you do at home. Did it kind of shake it up for you in that respect?
Yeah, at first it did. Like, I think it took some getting used to just dealing with getting sounds of that caliber because, right, like you said, I'm used to kind of like muddier microphones. But then once I got used to it, the process kind of reverted to what it always was, and it was fun. It was fun to get to experiment with new sounds.
And it's also good to finally get away from being the home recording guy. Finally, you did it.
Yeah, finally.
And Alex, in those couple of years, you also kept busy in other ways. You scored this spooky film called We're All Going to the World's Fair. Was that an interesting challenge on the side for you to write to someone else's brief and ideas and visual cues?
Yeah, that was pretty enjoyable because it was a process that I could just get into it every day in a structured manner because I guess the emotional content or whatever was already taken care of, so I could just kind of clock in and do it as opposed to making a record, which I'm kind of just like waiting for something to happen.
And did that sort of also then feed back into the way you wanted to work on God Save the Animals? I'd like to think that the whispered horror vocals and those John Carpenter style synths on a song like Blessing came from out of doing that kind of work.
Yeah, the whispers, maybe. I think the John Carpenter stuff came from just having access to all these nice synthesizers. So I was just going to town, experimenting on those. But, I think there's a lot of cool effects that I discovered just out of experimenting with the movie soundtrack. Like, just a lot of cool delay effects that are built into GarageBand that I didn't know existed. And
What, all this time you hadn't read the manual properly, or you hadn't read up on new updates?
Pretty much. Like, I guess when I'm making stuff, I just always use the same effects. I do the same tricks every time. And so since I was doing this movie, I was kind of like, oh man, I gotta, this sound has to be broader somehow. So I was just like clicking different things I never clicked before.
And Alex, with exploring new sounds, there's kind of all these different personalities or sides of you that we get on a record, like God Save the Animals. When you modulate your vocals down or sing in different voices and keys, there's these sort of creepy, disembodied vocals on SDOS. Sometimes it feels like you're trying to unpretty a song or to drive it hard to somewhere it doesn't ordinarily want to go?
Yeah, I guess it just comes from spending a lot of time on them. And I guess I'm like getting more and more tired of it as I work on it. So I'm just tweaking it more and more until it becomes like a Frankenstein monster. You know, some people go into the studio and they work very hard on the song outside of the recording process. And then they go in and nail the take, and that's the product. But I think with me, I'm sort of like, I think part of the songwriting process is actually editing the sounds. And so I like end up pretty far from where I started.
Do you give yourself a bit too much luxury in that way? Sometimes do you sort of do a loop and then end up back where you started?
Yes, 100%. I do that more and more as I get older because I guess I'm like starting to appreciate more just the value of a melody on top of some chords. You know, like my attention span is maybe longer or something.
Who'd have thought? Just a melody on top of some chords. That's all you should have been doing all this time.
Yeah.
It's almost more of a shock when you play it straight, like on a song like Miracles.
Yeah, I think I was messing with it in all these different ways. And then I realized like, oh, I think this song kind of stands on its own if I just take everything away from it, you know?
And also in that song, there's that line, how many more songs am I supposed to write before I can turn it off and say goodnight? Is that the way you feel sometimes when you're working?
Never when I'm working. I'm usually pretty pumped up when I'm working. I don't often feel that way. I think that song is kind of like a caricature of myself in a way. But I guess sometimes I feel that way.
Yeah, sometimes you must wonder how many more songs have I got left in me or what else does it take, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And Alex, from the album title, God Save the Animals Inwards, this album is full of nods to faith and God in some ways. Do these lyrics sort of present themselves to you subconsciously?
Yeah, like I'd be lying if I said I had some like calculated message, you know? I think I was just being kind of intentionally haphazard with some of the themes. And I guess it felt like something to chew on, like just throwing those words around and seeing what happened, you know? And maybe that's a bad thing, but maybe it will provide somebody with some entertainment.
And so were those concepts and ideas of faith in God something that you had to reach for? I mean, were you raised in a religious household? Were a lot of those themes already sort of deep in there somewhere for you?
No, I was not raised with any religion. And I guess that's why it was maybe easier for me to write about it, because those things don't carry the same weight as maybe they would for someone who was raised religious. So I guess I kind of felt like I was exploring more so than I was making some kind of statement, you know?
It's interesting you say that that stuff can carry weight for so many people, because even a word like faith has been co-opted so much. But at essence, it's believing in something. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious term.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was part of my... I don't want to say it was any main motivation or anything, but I guess I thought it would be like an entertaining challenge to make something that's using these terms that are really co-opted by different things and just use them for my personal expression. These are like some seriously heavily co-opted themes, and then I can co-opt them for myself and just be ignorant of all the other ways that they're co-opted, I guess. And I just kind of wanted to approach it just like an alien who found the Bible and was just throwing those words around.
Right, so on this record, you've discovered there are more settings on GarageBand, and you've also discovered some new language. It's a big step, God Save the Animals.
Yeah, yes.
And Alex, you know you've also inspired the next generation of musicians, because here on our show, we recently spoke to Brooklyn via LA band Mama. And Ita and Allegra told us they bonded as teenagers in high school over your song Harvey. So here comes the next generation of bands that have been directly influenced by Alex G.
Wow, that's awesome. I got to look them up. Mama?
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's an ego boost.
They sound nothing like you. You might be disappointed.
No, I don't like stuff that sounds like me. I don't listen to a lot of music, to be honest. But
Well, it's great to have God Save the Animals out. So good that you can actually get out of Philadelphia and do some touring, and we'll hopefully get you back here in Australia at some point too. And it will have been a few years since the Lansdowne show, Alex, so I think they will have forgotten they kicked you out after your own gig last time. I think all will be forgiven.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was so funny.
So you can return to the scene of the crime, touring this record. The door staff have probably all changed. You know, they won't know who you are.
Yeah, they'll have to kick me out again.
We might have a listen to Forgive off of God Save the Animals right now. We'll hopefully see you back here at some point. Thanks for the chat, Alex.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is Alex G now on Static. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.